Hello everybody, welcome back to Arthenex Plays Pillars of Eternity.
Of course.
So, we've got a couple places we can go to now. We can go back to Copper Lane to turn in this quest I got from the warehouse. We can go back to the middle area to... let's see. Yeah, we can go back to First Fires to turn in the plans I got from the alchemist. I suppose we should go back here and tell, back to the Salty Mass and tell the patron that we solved her problem. Or we could go to the slums. We've got a couple things we can do there. We need to find this pirate captain, and we also need to look for the place where we can learn about awakenings for our wizard. So I think I'm going to go to First Fires and see if I can find those logbooks that the guy mentioned, because I think we have to take those to the same people that we have to go see, that Aeloth needs to go see.
How do you do?
Alright. She agreed to leave you alone. You go ahead, really. I'll just wait by the bar with a glass of something that kills disease. Now, what can I do for a strapping lad like yourself? Should I rest? I might as well. Nancy Cyril, for which you can settle with me. What can you tell me about that? You're only the most sought-after girl in the district. You want to spend time with her, just ask. She's 1,000 for the night, but she's worth every pound, or so they tell me. Maybe another time. Mainly, I just will rest for now. Oh, we got a bunch of messages from our stronghold. As soon as this finishes loading, there we go. What does it say? Prison break? What? Major adventure. $5,000 to 1,000 copper and treasure. Sure. Who do we want to level up? Let's level up the priest. Can't believe Nira had escaped from the dungeon. Well, that stinks. I guess that means that I really have to be on the, Oh, I've gained reputation with Defiance Bay, minor. If I capture somebody, I have to go back and interrogate them relatively quickly, if I want to do it at all. Otherwise, there's a chance they'll escape. Oh well. So we'll go to First Fires, and we need to see if we can find those that report. And we also need to turn in this quest.
Of all the things I've gotten used to, food was the hardest adjustment.
I quite agree. Deer wouldn't oversalt everything and drown it in sauce.
And they burn out all the flavor. Nothing like a raw deer flank.
Okay. I'm sure the tapeworms will also thank you. For your generosity in allowing them easy passage into your stomach. So let's see. It's not stealing just to look at it, right? Yeah.
Sure. I've got it.
Hmm?
Oh, there's Penhelm. Alright, well, let's talk to him and see what he says. This young novitiate's armor is recently shined, and his hair is clean and neatly combed. It's hard to believe he's ever seen battle, or that the scarred antique breastplate he wears could possibly be his. Does the name Ostrich sound familiar? Excuse me. You've got any self-respect, you won't associate with him, or with any of his new friends at the Expedition Hall for that matter. Scamps and delinquents, a lot of them. Is that his breastplate you're wearing? Was. Became the property of the Crucible Knights when he was discharged, now it's mine, and it's not for sale, if that's what you're wondering. Not every day you find armor that was used in the rebellion. What's the story between you two? Ostrich has always held some controversial opinions, but they went overlooked for the longest time because his family has an extensive history of service with the Crucible Knights. He finally went too far. He had the gall to suggest that we had strayed too far from our roots, that some of our officers were beginning to resemble Aedir nobility. Nice. He rubs a spot on his bracer with the silk handkerchiefs. He would have us all wear rough spun and fight with forge hammers. I merely reported his statements. That history made the Knights what they are now. You can't just cast it aside. What good comes of sentimentality? We've outgrown the past. Sometimes you need to move on. Outgrown it like an old sealskin coat? You adapt with the times, sure, but that's a bit naive. Alright. So, somewhere in here is his affidavit. Maybe it's in one of these.
I've got it.
On that one, although I can get a little bit of
I'll
free
get it open.
experience by picking the locks.
I've got it. I'll get it open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing so far. I think it would be in the bathroom.
Hmm?
Now this looks a little bit more promising. This is a record of active patrols and reported crimes in Andre's gifts. The latter far outnumber the former.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not stealing. Here it is. Current. Alright.
Hey.
So I only have to go see Curran. Well, we might as well turn this in first. We should be closing in on another level for our main characters. I've got Viana's notes. Well done. Bring them to Dunstan at once. When you're finished, I may have more work for you. Oh. We were supposed to bring them to him. I think he told us that now that he mentions it. I just kind of forgot. One thing in which this is the same as all other previous RPGs is that there's tons of running around. I think this is what you've been looking for.
That's what Cleaver's been looking for anyway. If you found it, I guess I've got to start.
You don't sound too happy about this. I'm not, and I'm surprised that someone as strong-willed as you is going along with it. I've made it clear to Cleaver that this is a mistake, trying to harness souls like this. It's a crime against the gods, and it's bound to earn us more trouble than it saves. But Cleaver's given me his orders, so I've got to build these things as best I can. Anyway, Cleaver's told me I'm to sell you any arms or armor you might want. You won't find better anywhere in Defiance Bay, I can promise you
Now,
that.
time to see if that Valian was worth all that blood and copper.
This should be interesting.
I'll be damned. To be honest, even I wasn't expecting it to work this well. Back to it. Cleaver will want me to finish the rest of them. And it sounded like he has a job for you, too.
Alright, well, let's see what you got to sell first. The White Spire. 200 SR, 50 disorienting. Blizzard. Interesting. I don't think I can even cast that spell. Let's see. DR 14. Crush 18, freeze 17, corrode 11. That's pretty good. Intense against prone attack, plus 15 intense against push attacks. Okay, that's pretty good. Freeze proofed. Exceptional. So this is like Brigantine. Okay. So if I compare that to, it's 14, so it's slightly worse against Crash and Pierce, but significantly better against Crush. It's 4,000. Or I could buy this. This is I actually kind of like this better. This does have the sturdy quality, but I'm not sure how much I care about that. Firebrand. Firebrand. I wonder what that does. Grants consecrated ground. I think does that let you cast the spell? If it does, that's quite good. Because Consecrated Ground is a really good spell. Am I wearing any boots? Because I think those would suit me very well. I don't think I need to wear that anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and buy these. Do I have any, I have a few things to sell. And not going to sell that hat. I like that hat. Even if I'm not sure when, if I'll ever wear it again. Alright. That's acceptable. So... now, what did that do for you? Not sure. Oh, I leveled up, though. That's good. So do you just have this going all the time, or... Scroll of Nature's Mark, 2 traps. Not sure. Alright, well, let's go ahead and do a save. And then... let's level up my main characters here. So... skills, yeah. Go up to level 8 mechanics. It'll cost us all my skills. But we are at minus 80% combat fatigue, and I don't think he's been getting too fatigued, so next time we'll boost his athletics up to 3. Alright, so now we get a level 2 invocation. Paralyzes enemies in the level of effect. Requires 4 phrases uttered. Paralyzed for 11.2 seconds versus will. Foe AoE, that's pretty good. A summon, a level 2 summon. 2 will-o'-the-wisps. I wonder what worms are. Terrified for 16.8 seconds. Increases the duration of and defends against hobbled, struck, paralyzed, and petrified. Okay. Or foe AoE, charm for 11.2 seconds. Base 8 seconds versus will. Boy, there's some tough choices in here. Let's see. This is 7.6 meter, 90 degree cone, foe AoE. This is 3.38 meters. This is quite close. 90 degree cone, 11.2. So that's base 8. So I can paralyze more enemies, or I can charm fewer enemies, or I can get a level 2 summon. Either 2 will-o'-the-wisps or 3 worms. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna pause the recording here and come back and do a little bit of research on those summons. And then I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. I've discovered that worms are actually miniature dragons, and I'm a real sucker for dragons, and so I'm going to take that. It might not necessarily be the best option, but I just love the idea of summoning miniature dragons, and I think I like the idea better than will-o'-the-wisp. So we're gonna do Gurnisk slew the beast, but soon faced his kin and summoned some worms. Alright, and then we get a talent as well, which is awesome. We don't have any more class talents, but let's see. Kind of tempted to take this. Greatsword, pike, warhammer, arbalist, arquebus. And have him start using the pike. Because I don't think I'm going to have him use that. Times 1 plus 5 melee accuracy. This is like a power attack. I don't think I want that. Venom Strike. No. Not a fan of per accuracy weapons. Two-handed style, 1.15 damage. This would be pretty good, actually. Would that be better, or would accuracy be better? So, plus 6 accuracy or plus 1.15 damage. I kind of like accuracy. I have to switch back to a pike, though. But that's fine. It'll give me a little bit more accuracy for my... that's the one my monk needs. Anything here? We got some new stuff here. Plus 10 defense against mind confecting. Okay. Cautious attack. Plus 10 deflection times 0.8 attack speed. Or straight up 5 deflection. Yeah, I don't see anything in here that's better than that. Plus 6 accuracy, greatsword, pike, warhammer, arbalist, arquebus. So I'm going to take that. Weapon focus, soldier. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to be summoning some dragons now. Sweet. Alright, let's level up Eder over here. It is useful to have a super athletics person in the party, just in case of scripted encounters. So we can have an extra knockdown per encounter. I don't use knockdown a ton. I'm more inclined to give him weapon and shield style. Or field triage. It's not field triage isn't quite enough health anymore. I'm gonna give him weapon and shield style. Make him even more of a tank. And
yeah.
Yes.
The wizard. So he has 10 points left. Let's go up to level 10 lore. And let's go ahead and grab level 3 athletics as well. He can learn some level 3 and another level 3 spell. That's quite a long-lasting spell, but I can't see myself wasting a level 3 on it. What I really want is, like, I already have exposed weaknesses. I don't really need that. What is this? Corrode, Sickened versus Fortitude. I already have an AoE spell that does fire damage. Foe target plus 1.70 duration. AoE duration affects foe. AoE Sickened, Terrified. I think I'm going to take this. It's long lasting enough that, yeah, I'm going to take this. It's not great, but I already think I have most of the good level 3 spells. Alright, 25 deflection for 13 seconds. First level spell. Bonus second level spell. That could be really good, actually. That's tempting. Or I kind of like that too. Plus 5 accuracy against distant targets. For plus 5 range DR bypass. He's not a dedicated archer. This wouldn't be bad for Fireball and Cone of Fire. He also has that one single target corrode spell. A second level spell would also be really useful, though. That blinding spell is second level, which is quite good. Flail, Wand, Warbow. I wonder if Marksman applies to spells. Does not use a weapon as part of the attack. Gains a small accuracy bonus. I wonder if that applies to spells. I think I'm going to take this under the theory that it does apply to spells. And if I'm wrong, it will still help him. I think I'd rather have plus 5 accuracy against distant targets than another second level spell. But it's close. It's definitely close. Alright. Okay. Let's do a quick save. And
Of course.
oh right, we got another quest from the main guy, so let's go see him. Oh, and our hunter leveled up. Almost forgot. Yeah, she needs some athletics in a bad way. Let's go ahead and take it all the way up to 3. Vicious companion. Do you have like a tanky? Yeah, this is what I want, probably. Wait. What? Oh, sneak attack. Okay. I see. Yeah, no, I want this. More damage reduction on the companion. That's definitely what I want. Along with some athletics. Alright, was there more you needed me to do?
Dunstan will complete the first squad of Forge Knights in no time. Now the High Justice will want to have his Forge Masters at Fleetbreaker Castle create more. I've made a copy of Viana's research, and the High Justice has sent a courier to Anslog's Compass to retrieve it. The dozens have gotten too active for the courier to come to Defiance Bay, and after Viana's kidnapping, we've got to assume they know about our plans. That's why I'm sending you to deliver the research. You shouldn't be recognizable to the dozens. Yet.
Okay. But after this, I expect they'll learn of your association with us, and they won't be too happy about it. Neither will the Dominials. They're trying to expand the family business, and they resent us for standing in our way. Well, I think I'd rather join with these guys than the dozens. From what I've seen of it, the dozens are a little more than criminals. These guys might not be perfect, but they're better than the alternative.
Anslog's Compass is a small lagoon just north of Defiance Bay. Your contact will be a commander named Arenroad. She'll meet you by the docks. Return to me when you've finished. The High Justice has made the expansion of the Forge Knights his top priority, which means it's mine as well.
Okay. I just wanted to look at the Forge Knight that's in here. Can I talk to him? No. Alright, so we gotta go to that slums district next. What's it called? Brackenbury, that's right. Okay, Animancer. There's nothing to say to me. Nedin.
Gods keep you.
A woman stands in the shade of a garden, muttering to herself. She's fixated on the pages of a large and well-worn tome, seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool, fragrant breeze. She only looks up when your shadow crosses her page. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. Are you the Animancer who's been buying relics from Imothel? What are you so busy with? Obsidian soul attachment. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean about making them stick? Souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's the separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the Hollowborn. And if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Wadewood's legacy. Maybe even conquer death. Good luck with that. That's the theory, anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all the research I need to put it into practice. Alright, what do you need? There's a manuscript called Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experience on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumored to have a copy in the Elder Archives. The theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships Wield, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. Since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict kinds of information that would be useful to me. Maybe she could be persuaded. You're welcome to try, but you wouldn't be the first. Alright. I'll leave you alone. Intact, more or less. More or less, isn't that how you plan on presenting your idea to the Uphelmancer? Alright, so there's a Sanitarium, Onder's Gift. Charred Barrel. That's where the pirate person is. I think I'm going to actually go there first. There's so much of a spot on those oranges. Good to know, I guess. Alright, a couple of soul fragments. You see this man kneeling naked before a dais in the center of a large round room. Across the room, opposite from where he kneels, stands a large throne. The throne's back and two of its legs are broken, rendering it unusable and causing it to tilt precariously on its stand. The room is ringed with figures clad in black robes, each chanting quietly, resulting in a low drone that pervades the room. On the dais, across from the brazier, is another robed figure holding a leather-bound book with charred marks on it. He is speaking to the naked man about fealty, dedication, and law. When he finishes, he bids the other man to rise and holds the book out to him over the burning coals in the brazier. The naked man nods, and the robed man drops the book into the fire. The naked man drops to one knee, briefly pressing his forehead to the side of the brazier, then stands and thrusts both of his hands into the coals at the bottom of the brazier. He retrieves the book, slowly presenting it to the robed figure before him. The man rubs his thumb on the ash that is collected on the cover of the book and uses it to draw a mark on the naked man's forehead over the burned flesh. The naked man bows his head and whispers, "Was that right, Da?" The robed man nods patiently. The naked man looks to the broken throne with childlike eyes. "Did you see that, Mom?" Interesting. As you near, you see a burly man inspecting a dilapidated inn, the Almia salesman almost dwarfing him as they walk through the once proud establishment. The walls are rife with stains, and only Wheel knows what else is smeared on every available surface. Not one thing stands unbroken, and moth-eaten blankets, rotting food, and trash give evidence to a succession of squatters. The man frowns, scrutinizing the space. The Almia gives him a final offer, flashing 2 white teeth with each syllable, oversized and threatening. With a sigh and a jingle as he hands over the corn pouch, the man acquires the dump of an inn and begins to plan. Okay. Oh, right, I wasn't going to go there yet. What is that? That is House Domino. Is that an Orlin or a dwarf? I think it's a dwarf. You see a lush forest, quiet and dark in the early morning light. This woman walks through the trees, a captivated look on her face. She doesn't appear to have a particular destination in mind as she wanders slowly between the enormous trunks, looking up through the branches and occasionally making a low chirping sound. When a responding chirp echoes through the quiet morning, she turns to head in that direction, obviously not concerned with losing her way. A loud metallic snap followed by a quick yelp cuts through the air, and she looks to it, focusing in the direction from which the sound came. She moves towards it on the verge of running. She seems to realize suddenly that caution is important and freezes, looking down, her foot hovering over the pressure plate on a well-hidden bear trap. She leans back and gingerly places her foot back on the ground next to the trap. Good timing. She looks around, anger darkening her features. Grabbing a nearby branch, she just presses down on the plate and disables the trap. When it snaps shut, she hears another yelp, this time much closer. Scanning the ground for more traps, she carefully makes her way towards the trapped animal. Rounding one of the trees, she spies it, a large wolf, bony with malnourishment, right hind leg held tight in the rusty metal teeth. He looks at her, and a low growl starts in the back of his throat. His hackles rise, and she pauses briefly to let him catch her scent. She lowers herself closer to the ground and holds out her hands, palm down in front of you. Aren't you a beautiful boy? She inches towards the wolf. Okay, interesting. You see a dark room. Noise filters in through a nearby doorway. The sounds of battle, scuffling, metal on metal, cries of pain rise and fall as a fight rages on outside. There's a bellow of rage, and a Zarup runs into the room, holding a book tightly against its chest. It looks around frantically, searching for something. It hurries to the far side of the room and opens a box sitting on a makeshift table. It places the book in the box, closes it, and then bends over to push the box under the table. A small stone hits the back of the Zarup's head, knocking it forward a little. The stone bounces to the ground, rattling a little as it comes to rest on the floor next to the Zarup's foot. It freezes in place, hands still on the box, eyes wide. As the clattering of the stone quiets, silence takes control of the room again. The battle outside has stopped. The Zarup spins around to find this woman standing in the doorway, leaning on a savage-looking two-handed sword. That book contains the answers I need, she snarls at it, moving forward. It hisses, rushing to meet her. Seconds later, she's retrieving the stone from the floor, having separated its head from its neck with a practiced flick of her sword. She smiles, kisses the stone, and then places it in a pouch on her belt, patting it fondly. Leaning over, she pulls the box from under the table and opens it, elated with her find. Alright. Let's check this place out. We're looking for a pirate. Firstborn, is that a pirate? The young elf is dressed in gaudy robes that seem ready to be cast off. He picks at a heavily brocaded sleeve and continually adjusts the gold chain around his neck. He looks up at you. Did she send you to run me out of town? You can tell her I'm not going anywhere without that medallion. I told Cyril I wouldn't let her sell it. If that's what you're here about, then save yourself the trouble. He puffs up the chest and glances at the exit. I'm not after you, but maybe I can help. That's a relief, but I don't see how. Cyril's a courtesan over at the Salty Mass in Andra's Gift. We've been working together for over a year now. I find a noble with more money than sense, fill him up with liquor, and send him her way. They have a good time, and Cyril takes her fee and a little extra. 100 coppers here, a trinket there. It's a bounty for us, and the lords and ladies never notice anything missing. Go on. Anyway, we always split the bounty, until a week ago. She takes a necklace off some noble. It's an Ingwithian medallion, damn near priceless. That relic is sacred to my clan, but she won't part with it for any sum of gold I can afford. And even if I wanted to, I can't go home without it. That's a hard thing. Alright, tell me more about your situation. What makes the medallion so important to you? I grew up under Glanfarth with the Shattering Spear clan. We Glenfathans have protected within ruins for thousands of years. It's the one duty the gods ask of us in exchange for the freedom to live as we please. But treasure hunters looted the ruins in our territory, and we left the wilds we dwelled in for generations. Most of my clanmates scattered to towns around the Deerwood and probably live on crusts of bread. Restoring this medallion to the ruins would earn us the gods' forgiveness. The Shattering Spear could go home. You seem like you've done well enough for yourself. It was this or scrape by in the gutters like the rest of my clan, but I'd give it all for that medallion. I offer to, but it's worth more than anything I've got, and Cyril knows it. Tell me about Cyril. She's a courtesan at the Salty Mast. She wasn't born to much, but she's done with what she has in order to escape that. She's a good friend. Without her, I'd probably be living hand to mouth like the rest of the Shattering Spear. And this isn't about her or me. It's about 40 people in my clan and the way of life we've held to for generations. I still don't understand why you just can't take your money and go back. That's because you're used to looking at things with detachment. A community isn't a place. It's a connection to history and meaning. Like an anchor, defending the ruins for the gods gave us a purpose. Without that, we're adrift. Does that make any sense to you? Actually, no. I don't know how else to explain it. That's all I wanted to ask. Alright. Fine. I'll see about getting the medallion, but no promises. Oh, it's Nanton. This place, they were kind enough to hire us both. Things have been wonderful. I can't tell much how much you appreciate what we've done. Okay, good. I'm glad.
Greetings.
And is dressed in neat but functional clothes. His sun-wrinkled skin and limber musculature reflect the life spent in the wilderness. Well met. What brings you to the Charred Barrel? Who are you? I was a cartographer for the Duke for decades. Crossed the White March half a dozen times and mapped most of the ruins of Thene Bog. A good career, but one suited to younger men. When I came back to Defiance Bay for good, Cleaver and a few other friends in the Knights helped me get the Knights to rights to refurbish this place. There's strong ale, quality entertainment, and a fresh sea breeze. What more could a man want? Let's see what's on your menu. Okay, nothing I can't live without. Alright, couple of soul fragments. You see a woman clad in expensive finery. Her eyes flash as he interrogates a trembling wreck on the ground. Reaching into his pocket, her hand curls around an address and she smiles grimly. Moments later, she's in a bedraggled alleyway, her pace quickening. Her braids trail around a corner and she is upon them. Or perhaps they are upon her. The action does not last as she easily dispenses of man after man, searching their faces, clothes, shouts for something she fails to find. Frustrated, she moves on, but not quickly enough as an Orlan attacks her from behind, the seal upon his finger glittering with malice. The woman's eyes alight upon it as she twists to evade the blow, and her eyes burn bright. Perhaps this was not a wasted trip, after all. You see a large group of people gathered in the common room of a large inn. This man is standing in the midst of the people, engaged in a conversation with someone. He is smiling and talking gregariously, moving from person to person with ease. He is able to extract himself from one conversation and insert himself into another without a break in his stride. He kisses the hand of a well-dressed woman, dipping her, and then twirling her back into the arms of her escort. He moves on to another group, slapping someone on the back while laughing at a joke, and then he's off again, sliding between people, hugging someone, shaking hands. He never stops. Finally, he seems to have hit his limit, and he excuses himself from the gathering, much to the dismay of everyone there. He smiles and waves as he leaves, making a little bow with a flourish of the hand as he closes the door. Once he's away from the inn and around a corner, he pulls several objects from a concealed pocket in his jacket. He looks at each one in turn. A necklace, a brooch, a couple of coin pouches, a small jewel. Smiling, he pours the money into his palm and quickly counts it, still aimlessly wandering the streets. He passes a beggar who holds out a bowl for him, pleading for a pittance. The man stops, smiles at the beggar, and drops all the coins into his bowl. Then he walks off, whistling happily. I see. Little Robin Hood. Cook, you have anything to say? Don't track dirt into my kitchen. Okay. Alright, what's the name of the person I'm looking for? An elf named Merwith. see any elves named Merwith. Maybe upstairs? There she is. He is. Looks like a girl. There she is. Merwith watches you through kohl-rimmed eyes. She puts her hand on the hilt of her blade, jangling the jewels that hang from her wrist. We don't know each other, stranger. Best keep it that way. Someone at the old lighthouse in Andre's gift was looking for your ship. No one goes near that old place. If this is your idea of a setup, think again. The last lighthouse keeper watched for your ship every day. Don't have 17 resolve. No, she turned me out. We were poorer than the fishermen who live there now. And when she learned I put food on her table with a stolen coin, she told me that if she ever saw me again, it'd be the mercy of the gods. I had nowhere else to go, and it was a rough life until I rose to captain. She ignored the Adir in advance to stay behind. I think she was waiting for you. She was always so stubborn. I forget sometimes where I got it. I'll go. Perhaps it will give us both of us some peace. Okay, that was a bunch of experience. Return to Naya by the lighthouse. Not stealing. Alright. Is that a map? A bunch more soul fragments. Alright. You see a group of children shouting, twisted laughter erupting from two small mouths. An eyeless boy, face grown over with the strange black tusks, cowers against the log. His small shoulders shake as he whispers to himself, trying to block out the relentless trail of insults. Freak, monster, deathhead. The boy stays long after the other children leave. You see that same eyeless boy, now a man many years later. Another group crowds him, but this time it is an audience. He tells a long joke about a ghost and a privy, and by the time he reaches the punchline, the crowd is yelling, starting to sound very much like the first. You see a pair of chain gloves sitting on a table between two men. The gloves are inlaid with gold runes and aglow with faint blue aura. This man stands on one side of the table, and across from him is another man dressed in arcane robes. The man receives a small pouch and hands it to the wizard, telling him to count it to ensure his entire payment is there. The wizard smiles, giving the man a half bow, and then empties the pouch into his hand. You wanted these gloves protected from thieves and other unsavory characters, he says, dropping the coins piece by piece back into the bag. Put them on and they will never leave you. The man slowly slips his hands into the glove, a look of satisfaction on his face. His smile falters a little once they're on his hands. The gloves flash briefly and then start making a light metallic tinkling noise. The look of satisfaction quickly becomes one of concern, and he grabs at the gloves, trying to pull them from his hands. His fingers tug at the openings, but they have shrunk, trapping his hands inside. The metal begins to work its way into his skin, small drops of blood appearing on the surface of the gloves. The man drops to his knees, fighting with them and crying in pain. The gloves constrict until they have completely shrunk around the man's hands, becoming one with the flesh. The man looks in horror at his hands and then up to the wizard, who has finished counting his money and is standing at the door. You certainly won't be losing them now, he says, stepping back through the door, slamming it behind him, leaving the man on the floor staring at his hands. Does he have metal hands? Not that I can see. You see a woman sway, her voice floating gloriously above the court, lilting and sweet. It twists around them, and they smile, enraptured as she palms their hearts one by one. She begins to dance, but something in her step is offbeat. She pauses, confused, a snatch of some foreign sound in the air. Competing, resisting, it takes her a moment to spot him, a small man with a single brow chanting under his breath, disrupting her song with his staccato incantation. She intensifies the dance, the swing of her hips wider, her feet a flicker above the square tile ground, the underlying chant in her own song more persuasive. Her lips twist intently, vibrating with the effort of countering her charm. And then a note, crystal clear, bright and tinkling. He begins to smile dazedly as her song continues, and he forgets all about resisting. She has won the day and the court. Another map. Askerion. Okay. Alright, well, we got one more thing to do here, and that is visit the Animancers. I admit I'm kind of itching to try out my new dragon incantation, but we can wait. Charming windows are reinforced with iron bars, huh? Either they're terribly afraid of thieves, or they're holding some kind of prisoner inside. Two-sided. Yeah. You sense a strange divide in this woman's soul, an unnatural boundary between two opposed wills. You see the woman pausing by a roadside to hand something to the driver of a stopped wagon. These herbs should help with his party's sickness, she tells him. He can find more along the road, easy to spot with their serrated leaves, but avoid the ones with the green berries. It's a different species, toxic. He thanks her and offers her coin, but she waves him off, explaining that she is merely doing what her order asks of her. He nods and she heads off down the road as he begins to hungrily consume the herb. You see the woman searching alongside the road now, the wagon just up the path, and you realize you have skipped backward in her memory. She sets eyes on a plant with serrated leaves and green berries. She picks several handfuls, tearing the berries off one by one and tossing them to the ground. She nudges them off the path into the brush quickly with her boot without looking down, as if to hide them from her own sight, before striding back towards the wagon with hands outstretched. Okay. You see a dark room with garish furnishings, a large bed covered with pillows, several couches, and expensive rugs. This man is sitting in a chair pushed against the wall of the room opposite the door. He is dressed in dark clothes with a black cloak wrapped around his shoulders, his hood pulled close around his face. Shadows fall across him, the darkness rendering him virtually invisible. Two other men wait in the darkness with him, watching the door. All three are motionless. Noise from the crowded common room below echoes up through the floorboards. The handle rattles, and the man staggers in, dragging a young woman with him. The two standing men exchange a quick glance, one of them tilting his head and shrugging with only slightly before jumping to the task at hand. One steps forward, grabbing the girl's wrist, wrenching it from her escort's hold with one hand while pushing the door closed with the other. Then that hand is over the girl's mouth before she's even aware that she's in someone else's arms. He takes a dagger from its place on his belt and draws it across her neck. He holds her still and waits for the struggle to stop. The other man is standing, has already subdued their target, now tied to a chair, arms and legs bound with a rag stuffed in his mouth. The girl, no longer moving, is placed under the bed, the man who dealt with her taking his place beside the other. They stare down at the man, screaming against the cloth, but the muffled sound is unheard over the raucous noise in the crowd below. One of the men begins murmuring softly, putting his hand under the chin of the man in the chair. There's a brief flash of light, and the man stops struggling, a suddenly placid look in his eyes. The two captors ask various questions that the man answers happily. After they finish, the two look to the man sitting against the wall. He has not moved as the events transpired before him, but only sat, silently observing everything as it happened. He stands, holding the cloak closed around himself, and nods to the two men. He then walks to the door, opens it only far enough to allow himself to exit, and leaves them to finish their task. Where do I speak with the head warden? and Warden. Oh, the statue? Alright. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down and blinking over the vessel of hurried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it that you could sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turned towards you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. Its voice echoes deeply, rumbling to the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? Really, there's certainly some interesting options here. Does anyone know anything about awakenings? There's an animator on the lower floor who came all the way from Revua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Belisige. Are you the one who mentions my part? Large and rather notorious black market for uncataloguing Gwithian relics. I stay far away from it. You may have a member of the Leaden Key in your midst. I could have done without hearing that today. Many of their intrusions have been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled with, or whether calamity has struck on its own. But a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. This must be where the waiter is, then. Once again, I'm reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they would be of some use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the Leaden Key as well, I take it? They're up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They are always up to something, of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. You have some idea who this person might be? I suspect it's a patient. Very well. In that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here or in their offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. That is my only request. How did you come to be in your present state? In the statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again one of our animancers will humor me and consult me over some problem, but they are a jealous breed and too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Looks like we're going to go downstairs. I don't see the either of the animancers that we want. And after soul trauma. This looks interesting. A portion of his soul. Permanent side effects like insanity. Oh, he did have a unique name. Do you have anything to say? Perhaps he has a quest.
Good day, stranger.
Bald man with a crooked nose gestures a demonstration over the still body of a patient before a small gathering of interested onlookers. Feeling your gaze, he pauses in his discussion. Have you come to sit in? Has anything unusual or suspicious been happening around here? Definitely not up here. We can't be scaring off visitors and potential clients, you know. Downstairs is where the more esoteric research is done. I check with the other masters there. I almost forget. I took weapon focus soldier, so I need to make sure I equip my pike instead of my quarterstaff. Already equipping my arbalist. This Belisage. Alright, I think we need to talk to him.
Good day to you.
A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pours through pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Ikasi, here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kith standing in front of me. What can I do? I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. Ah, that would be me, though the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert in counting floorboards. I would like to transfer Animusy's success in buttressing pre-awakened souls to soothing those whose souls have already awakened. But I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to produce reliable results. It is a tragedy, and I've come so far for nothing. You're in luck. I have a volunteer. Gilarde, who is it? Ayla's lips curl into a frown. I don't know about this. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All that you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon. I jest. You adherents are so uptight. I do not even know what that thing is used for. It belonged to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to a cell. Again, I jest. She rubs her hands together, getting down to business. So, I need you to sit here. She takes Aelioth by the shoulders and steers him to the couch. And try to relax, but don't try too hard. Then you will not be relaxing. Indeed, his eyes are humorless. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. The Animancer fastens thick copper bands to Aelioth's forehead and wrists. As she ratchets them tighter, his face twists with suppressed irritation. Now I'll examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long-chambered tube. Knobs, dials, and small-toothed wheels run along the side of the device. It is fitted with Audra lenses cut to different thicknesses and concavities. By manipulating them, I find the angles and densities that will allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. Does this mean we'll get to talk to Isolnir more? I like that lady. You would. She raises a finger. But first we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Sagani pats his arm. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Very well. To begin, tell me something personal, something from a time before your awakening. There's nothing to tell. I was just a normal child living in the Synthwood. He looks to you, his face is set in a frown, but the ridged edges of apprehension show nevertheless. Talk about your parents. As you speak to Aelioth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into the mists of his own memory. Belisage doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are smoothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes. Mother is away most of the time, with the Thayan's family, but I always know when she's coming home. Father's bottles accumulate like storm clouds on the horizon. His fits of temper become swifter and more violent. It still shames him, knowing that her hanging to another man supports us better than his labors as a steward. This is good. I'm starting to see something. Continue. Tell us about the time you awakened. I'm in my 5th year of training. Mother is home. I can let my guard down a little because when she is around, he is usually only angry with her. But he has heard that I have had trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He is furious that I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I'm sweeping the kitchen, the next I'm sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of blood on the tile. His boots, glistening with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach, and I curl up to shield my vitals, but it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against a field of black. His jaw locks and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Belisige. Mariko! Belisige fearlessly cranks the log's longer scope. He's hypnotized himself with this old memory. You've got to bring him out of it. Quickly, I almost have it. Obviously, we're going to slap him. Your flattened palm is inches from his cheek when his hand shoots up and grabs your wrist. Alioth's eyes snap open, but the expression you see of them isn't his. Try it again, and I'll take it off before I get it back to you. Hey, there she is. How have you been, Islamir? Belisage sucks a deep breath through her teeth. That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence. Something is spreading and congealing. Keep talking. He seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Cracking bones and voices high in ire. That warm molasses feeling that creeps down your gut when crisis is nigh. In Belfetto, we have flares in a totally distinct essence. She jots shorthand notes onto the pages next to her and turns one clicking knob of her scopes. Now, try to get the two of them talking. Islamir, tell Aloth why you've awakened. Why, he's the one who needed me, hiding in his own bone bag like a turtle in its shell. Aloth's face twists with fury. I never turned it over to you. Good, very good. She rests from her scribbling only to make another adjustment to her scope. I can now see two separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. As if the awakened soul fills in the spaces that he leaves empty. She prompts you with a circling of her wrists, quill in hand. Go on. Islamir, what exactly are you taking from him? Nigh more than I'm giving. You should ask what I did for that old man of his. How the last time he laid a hand on us, I break it into 3 pieces. Alioth jerks his head to the side. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. Neither's a reckoning, but I'm stuck with ye, and damned if I let your ninnying drag us both through the scupper. Ah, very good. She lowers her scope and consults her notes. I think I finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Isilmir's essence throughout the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their argument, and her essence seems localized most clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left ribcage. That's right around the spleen, which, of course, means that she's triggered by black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristic melancholy is to blame. Alioth blinks back at you, and in the midst of his perturbation, you're not quite sure who's looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit. Sagani's eyes are wide and innocent. It does seem as though she's got one thing right. She glares at him. Yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation? I like this one. You're close. I think Islamir's appearances are related to potential sources of trouble for Aloth. Carefully scratches her jaw, her gaze darting between you and Aloth. I suppose that could be true. I'll have to check this against other research. Well and good for you, but what does this mean for me? There's frowns at her nose, tapping her cheek with quill and making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch her stealing glances at you over the pages. It seems Islamir steps in when she determines that you're in danger. It's not clear yet whether this is a help or a hindrance. I don't like that. Islamir tries to take control from you when she thinks you can't face a problem on your own. You can't let her make those decisions for you. My thoughts exactly. I'll have to be more careful about her from now on. I've got a lot to process. Regardless, I thank you for your help, Arthenex. He does not look at Belisage. She sets her notes on her desk and returns to her scope. Well, I hope this has been as useful to you as it has been for me. I finally have material worth publishing. You'll be the toast of Revua, Fenter Aloth. His grimace melts into a crooked smile. Aye, advancing the right-wise principles of animancy, just what you have always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Belisage is humming to herself, still occupied by her scope, but Aloth is holding her notes. He's just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, eyes wide and imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense. Fair enough, but do it quietly. We'll see to this on our own. I don't really feel like I owe that Animancer anything. But... Major adventure completed. Durance returns to the stronghold with money and items. Spoils are in the chest. Nice. No events currently pending. Still working on that. Okay. Alright, well I hope there wasn't anything else we needed from her. Modred. Okay, I need to find, I think it was Kessel? Ripley. Are they going to let us go in here? Apparently not.
Gods keep you.
The Lowland woman traces her fingers along the spines of books in front of her, row by row. Her motions are quick and skittish like a bird. She does not notice you until you are nearly upon her. Investigating any suspicious activity in the Sanitarium. Oh, I'm just Master Anzo's assistant. He'd know more about that, but he's in the middle of busy with some patients. You won't be able to see him until he comes out from the patient ward. Is he busy with patients, or is he running some sort of experiment? It's not my place to gossip. How do I get into the patient ward? Only Master Anzo has access. I guess Head Warden Ailemancer does too, but he's, a statue now. Okay. What do you have to say?
Gods keep you.
What are you working on? Why do you study wicks? What kind of a question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. I see. Are you the Animancer? Apparently not. Who is the Animancer I need? Curran. Works at Hadret House in Brackenbury. Isn't that where I am? Oh, this is the Sanitarium. Maybe that's somewhere else? Well, this episode has already gone on way over time, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video. Either way, I hope all of you have a terrific day.